Fear is an emotion that has been ingrained in us since the beginning of human existence. It is a primal instinct that has evolved to protect us from danger. In ancient times, fear helped our ancestors survive in the face of predators or other life-threatening challenges. Today, fear still serves a protective function, alerting us to potential risks and helping us make decisions. However, while fear was once essential for survival, in modern life it often operates in ways that limit our growth and success. To overcome fear, we must first understand its nature and how it impacts our lives. At its core, fear is an emotional response to perceived threats or uncertainties. It can arise in many different situations, from public speaking to starting a new job or even pursuing personal goals. Fear can be both rational and irrational. Rational fear is based on real threats, like avoiding walking into a dark alley at night, while irrational fear often arises from our own imaginations and worries about things that are unlikely to happen. The fear of failure, the fear of rejection, or the fear of judgment are all examples of irrational fears that hold us back from trying new things or stepping out of our comfort zones. When we experience fear, our bodies react in a variety of ways. Our heart rate increases, our muscles tense up, and we might even start sweating. This is our body's fight or flight response at work, preparing us to either face the danger head on or run away from it. In ancient times, this physiological response was life-saving, but in the modern world, it often becomes a barrier to progress. When we feel fear in situations like taking on a challenging project or speaking in front of a group, this fight or flight reaction can make us freeze or avoid the situation altogether. One of the biggest impacts of fear on our lives is that it limits our potential. Fear often keeps us trapped in our comfort zones, where we feel safe and secure but stagnant. We avoid taking risks or pursuing new opportunities because the fear of failure is too overwhelming. The fear of making mistakes can prevent us from trying new things, and as a result, we miss out on valuable experiences that could help us grow. This fear-driven avoidance can lead to missed opportunities in both our personal and professional lives. The impact of fear on our decisions is also evident in how we approach challenges. Fear can distort our perception of a situation, making it seem more dangerous or difficult than it really is. We might assume that a task is too hard or that we don't have the necessary skills to succeed, even when this is far from the truth. This fear-induced pessimism prevents us from even attempting to take on challenges, and as a result, we limit ourselves before we even begin. Another way fear holds us back is by fostering negative self-talk. When we feel afraid, our minds often start to fill with doubts and insecurities. We tell ourselves that we're not good enough, that we'll fail, or that others will judge us. These thoughts can quickly spiral, creating a sense of paralysis and preventing us from taking any action. This negative inner dialogue can reinforce our fears and create a cycle of self-doubt that makes it even harder to break free from fear in the future. Fear also impacts our relationships. Whether it's the fear of conflict, fear of vulnerability, or fear of rejection, it can prevent us from forming meaningful connections with others. We may hold back from expressing our true feelings, avoid taking risks in our personal relationships, or refuse to put ourselves out there in social situations because we are afraid of being judged or hurt. This fear can isolate us, making it harder to build the connections we need for support, growth, and success. Despite these negative impacts, it's important to understand that fear is not inherently bad. It's a natural and necessary part of the human experience. Fear can be a powerful motivator and can help us avoid real dangers. For example, fear of failure can drive us to prepare more thoroughly for a presentation or to double-check our work before submitting it. The key is learning how to manage fear so that it doesn't control us or prevent us from reaching our goals. One way to manage fear is by recognizing that fear is often based on assumptions and not on reality. Our minds tend to exaggerate the potential risks of a situation, imagining worst-case scenarios that are unlikely to happen. When we take the time to assess a situation realistically, we often find that the fear we are feeling is disproportionate to the actual risk. This realization can help us challenge our fears and take more confident steps forward. Another way to manage fear is through mindfulness and self-awareness. By paying attention to our thoughts and emotions, we can catch ourselves when fear begins to take over. Practicing mindfulness allows us to create space between our emotions and our actions, giving us the opportunity to respond consciously rather than react impulsively. When we become more aware of our fears, we can choose to face them rather than avoid them, helping us to grow stronger in the process. It's also important to reframe failure. Many of us fear failure because we see it as a reflection of our abilities or self-worth. However, failure is an inevitable part of growth. Instead of seeing failure as something to be feared, we can learn to view it as a valuable learning experience. Every time we fail, we gain insights that can help us improve and become more successful in the future. This shift in perspective allows us to take risks without the paralyzing fear of failure. In addition, surrounding ourselves with supportive people can help us overcome fear. When we are encouraged by others who believe in us, it becomes easier to face our fears and take bold actions. Supportive mentors, friends, and colleagues can offer guidance, reassurance, and perspective that help us see that our fears are often unfounded. Ultimately, the key to overcoming fear is not to eliminate it entirely, but to learn how to manage it. Fear will always be a part of our lives, but it doesn't have to control us. By understanding the role fear plays in our decision-making and taking steps to reframe it, we can free ourselves from its grip. With this understanding, we can step out of our comfort zones, take risks, and pursue our goals with courage and confidence, knowing that fear is simply a challenge to overcome on the road to success. A growth mindset is the belief that our abilities and intelligence can be developed over time through hard work, dedication, and perseverance. This concept, popularized by psychologist Carol Dweck, stands in contrast to a fixed mindset, which assumes that our qualities such as intelligence and talent are predetermined and cannot be significantly changed. The development of a growth mindset is crucial for personal and professional success because it fosters resilience, encourages continuous learning, and allows individuals to see challenges as opportunities rather than obstacles. In this world where change and uncertainty are constant, adopting a growth mindset is not just beneficial, it is essential. A growth mindset begins with the recognition that intelligence and ability are not static traits but can be expanded through effort. People with a growth mindset tend to view their failures not as permanent shortcomings but as temporary setbacks that offer valuable learning experiences. Instead of being discouraged by challenges, they embrace them, knowing that with effort and persistence they can improve and eventually succeed. This perspective allows them to approach obstacles with optimism and determination rather than fear or avoidance. The mindset cultivates a sense of agency, the belief that one's actions have a direct influence on outcomes, and that nothing is impossible as long as one is willing to put in the necessary work. One of the first steps in developing a growth mindset is recognizing the limiting beliefs that come with a fixed mindset. People with a fixed mindset often believe that success is a result of inherent talent or intelligence, and that no amount of effort can change the outcome. These beliefs can lead to a fear of failure because making mistakes is seen as a reflection of one's abilities. This fear may cause them to avoid challenges, settle for mediocrity, or give up too soon when things don't go as planned. Recognizing these negative thought patterns is essential to shifting toward a growth mindset. The next step is to understand that effort is key to progress. A growth mindset teaches that hard work and effort are not only necessary but are the main drivers of improvement. People who embrace this mindset understand that the road to success is rarely smooth and setbacks are part of the journey. They know that they can develop new skills and increase their abilities through sustained effort. This understanding changes how they approach tasks. Instead of focusing on the end result, they focus on the process, enjoying the act of learning and growing. One of the defining features of a growth mindset is the ability to embrace failure as a learning opportunity. For many people, failure is an incredibly discouraging experience. It may feel like a judgment on one's worth or intelligence, leading to self-doubt and anxiety. However, for those with a growth mindset, failure is not seen as a personal flaw, but as a necessary part of the learning process. It's through failure that they discover new strategies, refine their approaches, and gain the resilience to keep moving forward. They understand that failure doesn't define who they are, it simply shows them where they need to improve. By shifting their perspective on failure, they are more willing to take risks and experiment without the fear of making mistakes. Another important aspect of developing a growth mindset is the willingness to seek feedback. People with a growth mindset view feedback as a valuable tool for growth, rather than as a critique of their abilities. They actively seek out constructive criticism, knowing that it will help them improve. This openness to feedback makes them more adaptable and eager to learn from others. Instead of feeling threatened by the opinions of others, they use feedback as a way to gain new insights, refine their skills, and move closer to their goals. This attitude towards feedback fosters continuous improvement and encourages personal growth. A growth mindset also involves cultivating the belief that progress is possible, even in the face of difficulty. Often, people give up on their goals when they encounter obstacles that seem insurmountable. The key to overcoming these obstacles is perseverance, the belief that with continued effort, even the toughest challenges can be overcome. Those with a growth mindset are not easily discouraged by difficulties because they understand that effort over time will yield results. This belief helps them stay committed to their goals even when things get tough. Whether it's learning a new skill, improving performance at work, or tackling a personal challenge, they know that persistence will ultimately lead to success. Developing a growth mindset also involves the ability to embrace change. The world is constantly evolving, and the ability to adapt to new circumstances is essential for success. People with a growth mindset understand that change is inevitable and that adapting to it is necessary for continued growth. They are open to new ideas, willing to try different approaches, and unafraid of stepping outside their comfort zones. Rather than resisting change, they welcome it as an opportunity to learn and improve. This adaptability allows them to navigate uncertainty with confidence and flexibility, knowing that they have the skills and mindset to overcome any challenge. The impact of a growth mindset extends beyond individual achievement. It also plays a critical role in relationships and collaboration. People with a growth mindset are more likely to encourage and support others in their growth journeys. They recognize that everyone has the potential to improve, and they celebrate the progress of others as much as their own. This mindset fosters a positive, collaborative environment where people are motivated to work together, learn from each other, and support one another's development. By focusing on growth rather than competition, individuals with this mindset create a culture of mutual respect and encouragement. Moreover, developing a growth mindset involves recognizing the power of self-reflection. Regularly reflecting on one's actions, progress, and setbacks is a powerful tool for growth. Self-reflection allows individuals to assess what is working and what needs improvement, and it helps them stay focused on their goals. It also provides an opportunity to celebrate small victories and recognize the progress that has been made, reinforcing the belief that growth is possible. Through self-reflection, individuals can identify patterns of behavior that either support or hinder their growth and make adjustments accordingly. The benefits of developing a growth mindset are numerous. Those who embrace a growth mindset are more resilient in the face of challenges, more willing to take risks, and more committed to continuous learning and improvement. They are less likely to be deterred by setbacks and more likely to persist in the pursuit of their goals. Their ability to embrace failure, seek feedback, and adapt to change makes them more successful in their personal and professional lives. By focusing on effort and progress rather than innate ability, they cultivate a sense of agency and empowerment, knowing that they can achieve anything they set their minds to with determination and perseverance. In conclusion, developing a growth mindset is essential for anyone seeking to achieve their goals and reach their full potential. It allows individuals to see challenges as opportunities, embrace failure as a stepping stone to success, and view effort as the key to progress. By shifting our beliefs about intelligence and ability, and by fostering resilience, adaptability, and a willingness to learn, we can cultivate a mindset that drives continuous improvement and leads to lasting success. Taking action despite fear is one of the most powerful tools for personal growth and success. Fear, though a natural response to uncertainty or risk, often acts as a barrier, preventing us from pursuing our dreams, reaching our goals, or stepping out of our comfort zones. Yet the ability to take action in the face of fear is not only a skill, but also a mindset that can be cultivated over time. When we learn to take steps forward despite our fears, we become more resilient, more confident, and more capable of achieving the things we desire. Fear often paralyzes us, causing us to second-guess our decisions and hesitate at the moment of action. Whether it's the fear of failure, the fear of rejection, or the fear of making a mistake, these anxieties can lead us to avoid taking necessary risks or making important decisions. For example, a person might be afraid to start a new business because of the possibility that it will fail, or an individual might hesitate to speak in public because of the fear of being judged. These fears are real and can feel overwhelming, but they are also often based on assumptions or exaggerated scenarios rather than actual concrete dangers. Understanding this distinction is key to overcoming the paralysis that fear causes. Taking action despite fear requires a shift in mindset. Rather than allowing fear to dictate our behavior, we can choose to act anyway. One way to do this is by reframing our thoughts about fear. Instead of viewing fear as a negative emotion to be avoided, we can learn to see it as a sign that we are on the verge of growth. Fear is often an indication that we are stepping outside our comfort zones, which is where real growth and transformation happen. Each time we face fear and take action anyway, we become more comfortable with the unknown, and we develop a greater sense of self-efficacy, the belief that we are capable of overcoming challenges. The first step in taking action despite fear is recognizing that fear is a natural part of the process. Fear is a response to uncertainty. And whenever we are faced with a new challenge or unfamiliar situation, fear can arise. However, rather than allowing fear to control us, we can acknowledge its presence and move forward despite it. This is often referred to as courage, which is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act in the face of it. Courage is developed by repeatedly choosing to take action even when we are afraid. Each time we face our fears and act anyway, we build confidence and increase our ability to handle fear in the future. It's also important to realize that fear is often based on irrational thoughts or exaggerated outcomes. When we're afraid of something, our minds tend to focus on the worst-case scenario, imagining catastrophic consequences that may never come to pass. For example, the fear of public speaking might lead someone to believe that they will embarrass themselves in front of the audience, but in reality, the audience is often far less focused on us than we imagine. By recognizing that our fears are often disproportionate to the actual risks, we can take a more rational and balanced approach to decision-making. When we realize that the worst-case scenario is unlikely to happen, it becomes easier to move forward despite the fear. Another crucial element of taking action despite fear is breaking down the task at hand into smaller, more manageable steps. When faced with a big challenge, it's easy to become overwhelmed by the scope of the task. This feeling of overwhelm can amplify fear, making us more likely to procrastinate or avoid taking action altogether. One effective strategy is to break the challenge into smaller, more achievable steps. Instead of thinking about all the things that could go wrong, focus on one small action that you can take right now. Each small step you take will build momentum and help reduce the power that fear has over you. As you check off each small task, you'll feel a sense of accomplishment and confidence, making it easier to take the next step and the next. Another way to take action despite fear is to reframe failure. For many people, fear arises because they are afraid of failing or making mistakes. However, failure is not something to be feared. It is an essential part of the learning process. No one achieves success without facing setbacks, making mistakes, or experiencing failure. The key is to see failure not as a reflection of our abilities, but as an opportunity to learn and grow. When we shift our mindset about failure, we can move forward with less fear and greater determination. Each failure becomes a lesson that brings us closer to success, rather than a barrier that stops us in our tracks. A helpful strategy in overcoming fear is to visualize the outcome of taking action. Often, fear is driven by uncertainty and doubt about what will happen in the future. By vividly imagining a positive outcome or visualizing success, we can counterbalance the fear and build the confidence needed to move forward. Visualization techniques can be a powerful tool for overcoming fear, as they allow us to focus on the desired result rather than on the potential risks. When we picture ourselves succeeding, we are more likely to take the actions necessary to make that vision a reality. Another key to taking action despite fear is developing a support system. When we are afraid of taking a risk or making a difficult decision, it can be incredibly helpful to have a network of supportive friends, family, or mentors who can encourage us and offer perspective. A strong support system can help reduce the fear of failure or rejection by providing reassurance and guidance. When we know that we have people who believe in us and who are willing to support us, it becomes easier to face our fears and take action. They can remind us that fear is a natural part of growth and that we are not alone in our journey. One of the most important aspects of taking action despite fear is the willingness to embrace discomfort. Taking bold action often involves stepping into the unknown, which can feel uncomfortable and scary. However, true growth happens when we push past our comfort zones and take risks. Embracing discomfort means accepting that fear, uncertainty, and anxiety are part of the process and that they will not last forever. By accepting discomfort as part of the journey, we can push through the fear and move forward with greater courage. Lastly, taking action despite fear requires perseverance. Fear will never completely disappear, but each time we act in the face of it, we get better at handling it. Perseverance is essential because it helps us stay committed to our goals despite the fear, setbacks, or obstacles we encounter along the way. When we remain persistent, we send a powerful message to ourselves that fear does not control us, and that we are capable of achieving what we set out to do. In conclusion, taking action despite fear is not about eliminating fear, but about learning how to move forward in spite of it. Fear is a natural emotion that we all experience, but it does not have to stop us from achieving our dreams or reaching our goals. By recognizing fear for what it is, breaking tasks into smaller steps, reframing failure, visualizing success, and leaning on our support system, we can take bold, decisive action even when we are afraid. The more we practice taking action despite fear, the more confident and resilient we become. In the end, it's through these actions that we grow, learn, and achieve the success we desire.